There are more unemployed youth than there are employed youth in South Africa. With a 51% youth unemployment rate in the country, the Gauteng government decided to take this problem on head-on with the launch of its township enterprise hubs earlier this year. We attended the launch and found this report.
It was a joyous occasion as the Gauteng government unveiled its 58 million rands project to address unemployment amongst the youth in low employment areas.
Part of what we're trying to do is to allow youth talent and initiative to grow. And what government is now doing is to capture that talent and potential, provide space, provide support, provide guidance, so that then that talent can be linked to the formal economy, such as your car washes in the area, your motor mechanics in the area. Many of them are involved in filming. We can actually tap on them. Many of them have got little cubicles where they sell cell phone prepaid cards and all those things. Some of them want to be involved in the repairs of cell phones. They're involved in the beauty industry, hair salons and barber shops and stuff. So there's a lot of talent and initiative. What we're trying to do is to direct that, bring them together, group them, give them the necessary financial guidance, business acumen, and most importantly, access to markets.
The launch of township enterprise hubs in 6 of Gauteng's poverty-stricken zones have been selected as a method to curb youth unemployment. The hubs will take the form of 3 different clusters: automotive, enterprise, and industrial hubs. The automotive hub being the first of the 3 to be launched. With the help of councillors, young entrepreneurs that show great potential will be selected to participate in the project. The private sector has jumped on board with government in its fight against youth unemployment.
We are already talking to the private sector to also link with these various hubs. Already we've got a number of companies that have come forward. The automotive industry in Roslyn is fully behind this hub, and hence this hub is going to be predominantly an automotive hub. We have the telecommunications sector also having come, MTN for example, that has also made a commitment to provide a site here for their wholesale kind of businesses. We've got the South African Goods Council also agreeing that they would be here to come and assist in terms of making sure that the products and everything that is here is also accessible to the consumers in not only in the province but in the country as a whole. So part of what we are looking at is not just provision of a shelter. It's about tapping on the very economic opportunities that exist in a particular area and link it to the formal industrial sector or economic sector that exists in the neighboring area.
But what does the youth think about the project?
It's going to employ a lot of people, number one. It's going to create a lot of business within especially economically depressed communities. And obviously, it's going to create a vibrant economic system within those communities and vibrance, and it's going to give birth to a new culture.
With staggering youth unemployment rates, government has a long and hard battle ahead of them.
Joining us in studio to talk about youth employment and enterprise development is Gauteng's MEC for Economic Development, Mr. Nkosiphendule Kolisile. MEC, thank you very much for your time and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, I think at this stage we can't say that you're a new MEC. It's been a few months now, and of course, how's it going so far?
Well, I'm not new anymore. It's more than 2 months already, so it feels like I've been here for more than 2 years. Yeah. Well, we are working. We are hard at work, around the clock, 24 hours. There are serious challenges facing our people. I think I said this last time when I was here. About 25.4% of the people in Gauteng are unemployed. And if you look into this through the broader definition, it's about just close to 30%, 29.8% of the people are unemployed. In South Africa as a whole, it's about 24.9%. Again, when you look at it in terms of the broader definition, it's more than 35%. That's a huge number of unemployed people in the country and in the province. If
How about youth unemployment? Because I think the crux of today's interview is going to look at youth unemployment. How bad are the youth unemployment figures? Let me see.
It's quite scary. I agree with people who call it a ticking time bomb. We really need to do something about it. If, as you showed us just now, it's more than 51% of the total number of unemployed people in the province. It's something that we really have to attend to. And we are creating a number of initiatives. One, we really want, as the province, to create employment, but we want to employ people who are also going to be employment creators or job creators by themselves. We launched a campaign yesterday on the 3rd of October at the Constitution Hill, really trying to rally everybody in the province, bringing business into partnership to work with us around the development of SMMEs, which I think are going to be very, very pivotal in the work of the township enterprise hubs. As you know, that the first one was launched in the Winterveld sometime in June. We are forging ahead with our plan to roll out the first 6 township enterprise. And in fact, I have just added one for the area of Mirafong, because I believe that we need to broaden the scope. But one other critical area as it comes to young people is the whole question of skills development and the mismatch that is there. We want to produce young people who are going to be prepared, and we think that is going to work out quite nicely, especially with the interventions that is going to be there with our work with the private sector. When I interact with the CEOs of the industries, they say, MEC, we are ready. We are ready to work with government. We are ready to push the boundaries a little bit beyond our own targets in order to accommodate this, because we say, and we all agree, that if we continue having such scores and army of unemployed people idling there, it is not good for those who are employed. It is not good for our own businesses. It's a threat to society. It's a threat to everybody, and everyone must pull every effort together to ensure that we defeat the scourge of unemployment, especially when it comes to young people. We can't live with it. There's no time to rest. We just need to do everything in our power to ensure that the scourge of unemployment in this country is defeated. And I am positive with the kind of support, commitment we are getting from the private sector, that certainly we are going to be turning the tide around.
Okay. Well, MEC, there's a strategy that the Gauteng provincial government has with regards to youth. It's the Gauteng Integrated Youth Development Strategy. Obviously, you mentioned earlier about the launch of Rea Shuma on the 3rd of October. But are these strategies enough? I mean, I can tell from what you're saying that there is political will, but do the youth themselves feel that actually something has been done? You've mentioned it's a ticking time bomb. Socially, it's not sustainable. Are we not looking at other countries to look at best practices maybe and see how they empower the youth, perhaps, you know, taking them to universities, perhaps making sure that they, you know, do something with their time, with their lives?
We must do all those things, taking our young people to tertiary institutions. But there are a lot already who get out of those institutions without sufficient skills still. Hence the question of skilling them even beyond their graduation so that they are ready for the market. They are ready to participate and impact positively in the economy. I think there is a will, but we need to do more. Position papers alone, the strategies alone, policies alone can't do the work. You have to have the drive, and hence the call for the partnerships, the commitment by everyone, because there must be a purpose for our young people to be able to be absorbed and to be assisted in terms of them getting employment. There must be a purpose. And once we clinch that, once we hit that chord where everyone wakes up in the morning with a clear purpose of putting Gauteng first, South Africa first, jobs, productivity, and jobs again, we will defeat this. And I've got no doubt that we are on the right path if we continue strengthening. The partnerships were already building.
On that point of partnerships, MEC, the private sector, what exactly do they want from government? What exactly do they, or does government want from them? You know, we're talking about the symbiotic relationship between the two sectors. You've spoken about the feedback that you've gotten, but just a little bit more elaboration with regards needs of the private sector, as well as how government is going to be motivating, the various sectors to actually meet those needs.
Well, there has to be that symbiosis between ourselves and the private sector. We simply can't do it alone. We have to work together. We have to bring one another on the table and agree on the rules of engagement. One of the things, for example, that the private sector would expect from any government are the rules of engagement that are free, fair, open for investment, friendly to investment. We agree, for example, as Gauteng Department of Economic Development, hence our resolve to establish Gauteng Investment Center, which I believe is going to be set up around here in Sentim. We have already agreed as the cabinet that this Gauteng Investment Center, which will be like your one-stop shop, where you bring in the Department of Trade and Industry, key municipalities, key agencies of government such as ESCOM, because one of the things, for example, when investors come into any country, they want certainty around, for example, questions of power. We are going to be bringing in the Department of Home Affairs in terms of documentation and all those things. We are going to be having that one-stop shop that we call Gauteng Investment Center, which I think is very catalytic for us to be able to break the barriers. The delays in terms of processing business applications are somewhat disturbing, and we have already identified that, and we think that has to change. I was here in Sentin early last month when someone from Malaysia, a professor, they were saying in Malaysia it takes them about 1 hour to open up a business. Why can't we do it at least in 3 days here in South Africa? Starting here in Gauteng, if we call Gauteng province the economic hub of the country, the powerhouse of the country, there are certain things that we must do differently. And I think that one of smoothing business operations, that when people apply, they find us ready, that if you want to have this kind of investment in the province, must be found ready to say, that is where you can put up this plant, that is the land that is zoned for this, this is how long it will take you to get this certificate, with clarity, certainty. And if we get that, we will pull in and crowd in more investment into this province, which will obviously have spin-offs to the rest of the country because of our strategic location as the province.
So MEC, you're talking very clearly here about what we call the first economy. After the break, we want to talk about the second economy and how these township enterprise hubs are going to then bring in people that were previously excluded into the mainstream economy. We're taking a break.